Jennings. I'm the West Coast Bureau Chief in Los Angeles for Nation's Restaurant News. We are a business-to-business publication, and we cover the spectrum of the food service industry. We like to say from McDonald's to the French Laundry. And I'm here today to introduce our next speaker, who comes from the restaurant industry. Danielle Vona is the Vice President and CMO for Sonic drive-in chain, which is based in Oklahoma City. And if you know Sonic like I know Sonic, then you probably also are in a 12-step program for your addiction to cheesy tots. But if not, you should know that Sonic is a nearly 60-year-old brand that has 3,500 restaurants in 43 states. It's known for its great burgers, its extensive beverage program, from the blue coconut slushes to real ice cream shakes. And more recently, they've been driving traffic with a new line of hot dogs, specialty hot dogs. And of course, food is delivered to your car by skating car hops. Danielle joined Sonic in July 2010. Before that, she had many years of experience in the beverage sector, including 11 years with PepsiCo, where most recently she served as Vice President of Propel Brand Marketing. And she also worked in Pepsi's soft drink portfolio on juice and dairy, all of which no doubt proved beneficial to her experience at Sonic with its beverage emphasis. So, in fact, Sonic has tapped into the mindset of snack-loving millennials, as we've been talking about today, with its beverage program and their happy hours. But I'm going to let Danielle tell you about that. So here she is, Danielle Vona.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm so happy to be here with you all today. And actually, I would like to do a quick thank you to BCG and SMG Barclay, who have all been really great partners to Sonic, especially Barclay for over 17 years and continues to support our business, SMG, and we recently did a project with BCG as well. So I'm really happy to be here. I thought actually to start, before I go into my presentation, and I kept it short so that we actually could get to questions at the end of this, that I just talk a little bit about the tension of the business in general. So lots of businesses are struggling as the economy hit us a few years ago, and Sonic is no different than a lot of those businesses. And so there's a tension in general with how we think about our business and how we have to approach it. Because there's no question that there's a group of people that are absolutely looking at sales and traffic every day and saying, what are you doing for me right now? Are you bringing people into the store? And it's people internally in corporate, and it's our franchisees and the people out in our system that are in the stores every day. So when we talk about things like how do we build relationships with our customers, how do we target them, how do we talk to them, relationships take time to build. And we have some great relationships, but we want to build more of them. But it's a cycle, and it's an evolution, and it's something you have to spend time doing. So it's not one of those things where I can say, I'm going to do this really great program, and it's going to deliver traffic to you tomorrow, and you're going to all of a sudden have all of these new fans that you didn't have yesterday. It doesn't really work that way. People become fans, and they create attachments to your brand over time. So there is definitely a bit of tension that we work through, and to the extent that we can parallel path building relationships and growing our fan base with how do I get sales and traffic in the stores today is obviously a critical component of the business. So that said, when I came into Sonic about a year ago, and I came in from PepsiCo. Actually, Rudy and I are at PepsiCo at the same time. So we have a lot of the same theories around brand marketing and brand positioning. And you'll probably see things in here that might look familiar to stuff that Rudy talked about. But there were a couple of things that we wanted to do. One was really get super clear on what the brand stands for and what we're all about. Because Sonic means a lot of things to a lot of people. So when you ask consumers, what do you love about our brand? They will tell you, I love the cherry limeades, I love the skating car hops, I love the burgers, I love that I don't have to get out of my car, I can take my time and push the button when I'm ready. They love all these things, but it's like all these different chapters in a book that we didn't really have the title to. So we weren't consistently tying it together in one theme or one umbrella. So we spent a lot of time over the last year thinking about what is the thread that pulls all this fabulous stuff about Sonic together. And one of the things that was so attractive to me as I came to Sonic is that at PepsiCo, and there's nothing wrong with this, so this is not a bad thing, but we spend a lot of time thinking about how do we build a brand to make this product look and feel different than this product. And the products themselves are similar, right? It's water, this water versus that water, and this cola versus that cola, and this lemon lime versus that lemon lime. I mean, that is the reality of that business, and brands make or break whether or not people have an attachment to you and how they attach to you. At Sonic, we have this awesome advantage because there is no one that looks like us. You can't close your eyes and imagine someone else being similar to us. We don't look like McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's or any of the fast casual restaurants. We are really different, and we have a lot of different aspects to our business. So being able to capture all of that in one unique thought was a critical component. So we broke that down into 3 things. And the 3 things we thought about was who are we talking to? How can we get really super clear on who we're talking to? What are the advantages that we can leverage as a brand? And then how do we tell a compelling story around that? So this presentation is going to focus a lot on who we're talking to, since this is a conference all about millennials. But I think it's going to be helpful for you to have some of this background so that you understand what the brand stands for. Similar to what Rudy talked about earlier, if you can find the intersection between your brand and your consumer, that's where the magic happens. So that's the positioning that we've been talking about, the big idea that we've been talking about. So I'll walk through the presentation and we'll talk about the consumers, and I'll show you a little bit about what the brand stands for and how we actually tie that thread together. So just to start off, Sonic is almost a 60-year-old brand, as Lisa mentioned. And when we were first inspired, we were this very cool, totally new concept. You couldn't go up to drive up and push a button and place an order anywhere else, right? So it was very hip, it was very cool. And when you talk to older consumers that use our brand today, their fondest memories are from back in the day, right? When I was hanging out with my friends at Sonic, and gosh, I remember this and I remember that. Their attachment to our brand is based on their youth, which is sort of interesting and really helped us shape our thinking on how we're going to think about our target consumer. So the evolution of the Sonic brand today, what we did was we went back to what's special about us, what's been special about us over time, and how do we capture that and use that as our targeting tool. So that kind of youthful mindset, that idea that the me that I am when I'm experiencing Sonic is the me that I want to be, right? So it's not necessarily about an age group. It's about how I feel when I'm experiencing the brand and who I want to be when I'm experiencing the brand. And when I'm at Sonic, I want to be younger. I want to be cooler. I want to be edgier. You know, I want to be the me that I can be at Sonic. So it gives us a different framework to talk about the brand, and it also helps us expand our consumer base. So if I go out to the franchisees today and I say, I'm going to focus on millennials, trust me, it's going to be great. They will say, hey, just a minute, right? I have all these people on my lot coming every day, and I know they are not millennials, and you're leaving all these people behind, and this is a bad idea. But when I say to them, no, actually, I'm going to target people that think like millennials and that have common attributes to millennials, and they have the same mindset as millennials, and it expands our target group, and it's now this big instead of this big, that is much more exciting to them. So really, we started with who are the people that love us today. So in our own customer base, who are the people that love us today, and how do they think? And then we'll talk about how we layer the millennial work. So we looked at this space and said, there's 2 vectors, if you will. One is the people that absolutely love us. They already love us for a variety of reasons. And the other is millennials. And people have talked about this over the course of the morning. They are huge QSR users. They're heavy users of the category. They are an important group for us. And if we don't create affinity with them now, we're not going to get them later. So we need to be able to be shaping the experiences today for tomorrow. So we have this intersection, and we're thinking about, okay, so what's this target look like between these two? We also looked at what's unique about us. We have really creative food. People will talk about the variety and the creativity of our menu, which is very unique relative to other people in the category. So the cherry limeade is a great example. Our new hot dogs are great examples. Breakfast burritos with all kinds of fun stuff in them, great examples. Our blasts, our Texas toast. So menu items that are considered to be very creative. We did some consumer work in Dallas, and there was a woman there, and I tell this story often just because I love to tell stories about what consumers say, since they are the most insightful people that we know. And we talked a lot about how our food is different, and you can kind of get your food however you want it at Sonic. It's made for you right there. It's made to order, so when you order it, they're making it right at the moment. And so if we had this positioning that said you can have your food any way you want it at Sonic, is that interesting to you? Is it compelling? And if it is, how is it different from like Burger King? Have it your way. And so this woman in one of the groups said, well, it's definitely different, because at Burger King, it's all about what you take off. And at Sonic, it's all about what you put on. And I was like, oh my God, that's fabulous. I'm writing that down. I'm going to use it in every presentation. And I've been pretty successful. My team over there can tell you I use this in every presentation. So it's such a great quote, right? At Sonic, it's all about what you put on and how you can get creative with your food. So we have this really interesting dynamic with our menu. We also have a really creative personality. That personality was built over a long period of time, thanks to our partners at Barclay, and it is a very creative brand. And the work that we've done has been creative. Our personality is kind of quirky, it's fun, and it's creative. And so at the bottom, some of these pictures at the bottom, one is a drink, a Halloween drink promotion that we did last year. And that work actually is all about mixing up the flavors of your beverage and creating like these monster fruits, which was just fun. And then the picture on the bottom right is a program we do called So You Think You Can Skate, which is literally a skating contest for our car hops that we do every year. It's really fun. They are amazing, and when you see these kids. One of the most interesting things about this connection is that millennials are who works for us, and they're who touch our customers every day. So the majority of the people that work at the drive-ins are the perfect picture of the people we've been talking about all morning. So we have very creative food, and we have this really fun, creative personality. The whole experience is creative. It gives people a sense of energy. It's totally different than anything else that you'd see. So what I have here is our manifesto. So this is the piece. This is basically taking our brand positioning and putting it into words and pictures. So it's not an ad. But it does give you a sense of how we're thinking about the brand, how we want to pull it together, what it means. And you're going to see and hear words in here that are familiar from the last day and a half, because we've really looked at it as this intersection between our Sonic lovers and millennials overall. So let me try this for you.
It's a pretty awesome truth about life. We're all born creative, pre-wired and ready for a life filled with inspired acts of originality. But then something crazy happens. We're told to turn in our finger paints for number 2 pencils and to please not play with our food. And like a dash of salt to the wound, we soon find ourselves in a world filled with cookie-cutter neighborhoods, riddled with fast food chains cranking out form-molded burgers topped with sad little squirts of ketchup. Yes, it would seem our country is facing a crisis of creativity, to which we at Sonic reply, oh really? Why can't a fast food chain be a champion of creativity? Truth is, we're better equipped than any other chain out there to help bring it back. From our made-to-order menu, to servers on skates, to our limitless custom fountain drinks. A place of deliciously invented foods that always invites customer reinvention.
A chicken club toaster,
A top coating with Fritos on top.
grilled cheese, jalapenos, and bananas.
Sure, our roots are in the 50s, but our aspirations have us poised to transform the drive-in experience from a relic of the past to a harbinger of the future. We'll invite Americans everywhere to play with their food. We'll invite them to make Sonic their own by letting them add their own ideas in ways that will revolutionize the fast food industry. Why? Because we believe the world would be a much better place if people felt more creative. And at Sonic, we've only just begun doing our part as the world's most creative place to eat. All we need to do is show the world exactly what that means.
Okay, so that gives you a sense of the brand positioning. That's basically how the brand comes together with something relevant for the consumer, and the word creative, I mean, I should have done a count to see how many times it's come up over the last day and a half. It's come up a lot, especially in relation to this target group. So because we have this really interesting personality, creative food, and we have consumers where we know that's important to them, that's the space that we've picked to be our intersection point. Our big idea that can help us talk about all the fabulous things about Sonic in one, with one thread that kind of pulls it all together. So our inspiration, our center of gravity is all about feeding creativity. And I love the term feeding creativity because it's got that food aspect to it, but it also is about what happens with your customers and your consumers as you, and how you can engage with them in a unique way. So once we sort of landed on this space and said, you know, this is really interesting, we like this, what could we be doing with it? We went back and did some double checks and said, is this relevant? Is it relevant to our brand? Is it relevant to our customers? And so this slide shows you, this is all Sonic customers. So this is not millennials, this is all of our customers. And on the left side, it shows you the index with Sonic, McDonald's customers, and QSR overall. So there's about 900 people in this survey, so it was a good, meaty group of people. And the Sonic people have a 136 index on I feel creative. I feel like I'm a creative person. And what's most fascinating, and we did questions around this in about 10 different ways to try and really make sure we were triangulating. Every time people identified themselves as people that they felt like they were more creative, they were overall happier people. So we have this really fun, cool space where it's creative, and these people are like happy, fun, excited people, which is really cool, especially if you look at it versus our competitors. The way I love to think about brand positioning is, if I can close my eyes and imagine my competitor doing the same thing, it's not right yet, right? So we have to find our own unique space, our own differentiation, and this is one of those spaces where I can't imagine any of our competitors doing this and it feeling right. It really feels like it's core to the Sonic brand. So we then took that and we created a profile, a consumer profile, that was a psychographic profile versus a demographic profile. And we did some more work to get at that profile so that we would know how to look at a millennial mindset, this cross-section between our lovers and millennials versus just millennials. So one of the other things we saw when we did some of this work is that our heaviest users share the same attributes as millennials. So this is just an example of some of the attributes that we tested, and the numbers are how high above everybody else that was outside of this group the heavy users were. So this space is not only relevant to us, but it's most relevant to our most important customers, right? Our heaviest users. So this was another really important sort of validation. And we also looked at how creative and playful they were overall, and again, you can see really high indices across all of these things. So if we go back and look at what is that intersection, the intersection we're calling, we're still working on the name. Millennial Creatives is not very creative, but so we'll work on that. But it's really a millennial creative mindset. So it's people that look and feel like millennials, and it's the intersection between those people and our sonic lovers. So it may not be all millennials, but it's going to be millennials that have and share the same attitudes as some of our sonic lovers. And it tends to be very similar to attributes that you see with millennials every day. What was really demonstrative, and I showed this, we had our convention about a week ago, 2,300 franchisees in the room, and I get the same question from them all the time, because they continue to worry about this being too narrow a target. And so what I showed them here was the millennial creatives are of all ages. So this pie chart is an example of what the age group is for this particular target that we've identified. And so 30% of them are over 55. But they don't act like they're over 55, and they don't feel 55 when they're on our lot. So it's really about creating that mindset. And these 4 attributes at the top, expressive, social, adventurous, and influential, again, words we've heard a lot over the last day and a half, but these are probably the epitome of describing these people, their behaviors, and their attitudes. And it really helps us think about how we want to market to them. So the final intersection of this is the millennial creative mindset, actual name, TBD. So the next thing I want to show you is a video that we put together for the convention that just really is a snapshot into these consumers and what they look like to give you a sense of what this group is all about.
Our fans are a youthful, energetic, and creative bunch. They have a millennial mindset, a youthful state of mind that spans all ages. They are original, expressive, and fundamentally social. These people are originals. They're adventurous and love to try new things. The same applies to food. The first person to put bananas on a peanut butter sandwich, there's no proof, but you can bet they were one of our fans. They're creative with a little c. They may not all be artists, but they are all imaginative. These people don't plan to keep all that creativity and originality inside. They're romantics who see the world just a little differently and get a thrill of letting that creativity shine. They sing in the shower. They hardly ever follow the recipe. And they've been known to let it go on the dance floor, even if they could benefit from a few formal lessons. These are the kind of people who make a party a party. Playful instigators that are good at getting others to break out of their ruts and try new things. To them, food tastes better with others to share it with. And if they try something amazing, they're much more likely to share their opinion with their friends. Our target is a youthful bunch, comprised of fun, creative lovers of fast food. They're original, creatively expressive, and playfully social. And this is how they sonic.
So that gives you a good sense of how we're thinking of that mindset. If you close your eyes and didn't see the pictures of different ages in that video, you would think we were playing really a millennial video, because that's what it's all about. But you can see from there that it is a variety of people. It's just about how they think. And one of the things that struck me over the last day and a half is we've been talking a lot about different attributes of millennials. And Hans is our VP of Insights at Sonic, made this comment to me that some of the things we're talking about are really about their life stage. And so what's more interesting to us at Sonic is to get beyond their life stage, the points where they're trying to figure out who they are and all that, and find something that's common to us that we can be relevant and interested. And so this space of creativity and using their mindset and their psychographic is a much better space for our brand to be relevant to this target group. So we're really excited about this space. We also know that this group is actually 41% of them are past QSR, users of QSR, and it's a big group. So just like millennials are a big group, the millennial creative mindset group is a big group. And they are much more likely to be heavy users of the category. So the 8% is everyone else, and the 14% is millennial creative mindsets that have used QSR category 5 or more times in the last week. So So this group is a much more likely to be a heavy user group. Oops, wrong way. Okay. And we also know that they're a heavy user of Sonic. So the bottom, that MCM, is the Millennial Creative Mindset. The yellow bar is everybody else, and you can see how our medium and heavy users really jump up there. So it's a relevant space for us. And they also, these are the attributes we talked about in the video. We know they're creative, they're expressive, they're social, and they like to put their own spin on things. And it's fascinating to me to think about this as it relates to our food, because it's not that you can put your own spin on stuff. You can't do that at McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's. I mean, you can, but then you have to stand aside and wait. You know, it's not the same as a Sonic experience. So, these attributes are relevant to the people, but they're also relevant to the experience that they can get with us. And we know that they are influencers as well. So they like to try new things. You've heard about that over the last few days. This is no different. They like to try new things. They have a contagious kind of enthusiasm about them, and they are definitely influencers in terms of asking for advice. And when we look at what everybody else looks like, there are not these millennial creative mindsets, we get these attributes. Boring, reserved, practical, pragmatic. So that's pretty much the McDonald's people. So now, we actually, Anxious also did really well for McDonald's. It's not that maybe about pricing, I don't know. To end this section, and I did intentionally save time for questions, so we should have plenty of time for questions. To end this section, I have a video that is a 60-second spot that we created. So it is more like an ad now. This is more like an ad. Right now, it's just in the online space. And it's intended to demonstrate how we might bring the strategy of getting creative with your food to life. It was inspired by, there's a dream sequence scene in Big Lebowski, if you know that, which actually is another interesting thing we've learned about millennials and this millennial creative mindset. The fusion between the old and new, which is fabulous for us because we have this kind of 50s thing going on. The fusion between old and new is totally relevant and interesting to them. And the way they think about brands and characters and products and music, the fusion of that is fascinating. So while many of you may not know The Big Lebowski, you'd be surprised at how many of the young people today know music and movies that you wouldn't necessarily expect them to appreciate. Anyway, so this is a television spot or an online ad, if you will, that kind of brings the strategy to life.
So I can get anything on my burger.
That's correct, sir. Anything. This is Sonic.
Really?
So that ad actually tested really well. What's interesting about it when we talk to consumers about it is, you know, they can't stop singing the song. It's stuck in their head. It has all these wonderful mnemonics that you want as a marketer people to be remembering. So and it really delivered on the message of you can get creative with your food. So that's how we're thinking about our strategy. And you know, the title of this presentation was Millennials. It's a mindset, not a demographic. And so it gives you a little flavor behind how we're thinking about the brand and the products and the target. So I think we have a really unique target that we're going after, one that's uniquely ties to our products. You can get creative with your food, and it gives us a uniquely positioned brand space. So that's how we Sonic. So I think we should have plenty of time for questions. I have 23 minutes on the clock.
Very good. Lisa Jennings from NRN is going to come back up and ask a couple questions. We actually only have about 5 minutes. But again, everyone here, if you have questions, you can send it directly or through us, and we'll relate it, get you an answer, and you can also ask at the break.
I'm just going to start with one because it looks like people already do have questions. So I'm going to ask regarding health as an attribute that millennials seem to be interested in, and perhaps this doesn't come into your intersection, but can you talk about how you've been looking at that on your menu and how people...
So I think, so we actually have recently partnered with the Cooper Clinic to help us with our menu and how we think about health. And we need to do it in, authenticity has been something that's come up a lot over the last day and a half. We need to do it in an authentic way. If Sonic is trying to be healthy, it's going to be weird, to say the least. So it's not that we want to go out there with a health positioning, but we want to have good options, good meal choices for people so that if they want, there's no veto votes. If they want to have something healthier, we have something that that will work for them. So we're thinking more about the menu in terms of balance, and the reality is that the things that we're known for and the things that people love us for are not necessarily the healthy things. So we want to have the right balance of stuff on our menu, and that's how we're thinking about it.
I think I saw some hands up already. Is there anybody who wanted to ask?
Oh, thanks. I was just really curious how you came up with the actual attribute questions, like the differentiators in your attributes.
The ones that I showed that had the pluses next to them. Well, we did two things. One is we had attributes that we had already been tracking as a brand. We have attributes that we looked at when we did the research on how creative are our customers. And then we looked at the things that were actually doing the best, and we're doing reality checks against those. Actually, the next phase that we're doing is a piece of driver's work that will help us understand, of all those attributes, what's the most meaningful things. So our work's not done on that, but that's how we're thinking about it.
I guess just it was a more deeply research-oriented question because they're very unusual. They weren't one-word attributes. They were like full statements.
Yeah.
So I was just really curious how did you, was that through qualitative research, or was that from consumers, or how did you find those differentiators?
Yeah, we actually wrote them based on the original work. So the original work that we did, then we came up with these statements that were part of the research that we did with our research team and with the agency. So, and actually, Hans can give you more details on that at lunchtime if you want to go deeper.
Other audience questions? Yep.
How have you thought of leveraging the creative mindset in terms of promotions or events? I know y'all had the skate off kind of thing, but other ideas like that?
Yeah, we had, well, this is where that tension I was mentioning comes in. So we were having, we actually have quite a few things that we've started, things where people can build their own advertising and then we would air it, that kind of stuff, similar to what Rudy shared. And we've had some really good traction on it, but it's hard to show it connecting to the sales for tomorrow. So we're probably going to be doing more parallel pathing of those things while we're doing some more traditional television advertising about our food, and then continuing to find the balance so we can build those fans. But we have create your own ad kind of things and a lot of things about the food in general and how you can get creative with your food. So that's our starting point.
Any other questions? Yep.
Hi there. I know that you rely heavily on TV. How has that changed, or any of your vehicles switched maybe to more social media now that you've found this target or this mindset?
Yeah, we actually, one of the things I was when I was interviewing, I actually thought we didn't have as much of that. I thought we were way more TV focused. And actually, we do have quite a big following on Facebook and Twitter and some of those outlets. I don't think we're doing it perfectly yet, and it's probably not quite as real and authentic as we want it to be. But our Facebook page is really big, and then there's plenty of pages that people have created on our behalf. We have a page that's dedicated just to our ice. Our Facebook page was developed by one of our fans, and now we co-author it with him. So it's kind of a unique way to approach social media. We have a community group at Sonic that has sort of, we do a little divide and conquer thing that, you know, different people on the team have responsibilities different times of the week to be on those sites and talking to our customers. So we do have a lot of things that we're already doing. We still spend a lot of money on television. It's still an important piece for us. We just have to make sure we can keep connecting it back so that it's all one story.